Hello, people. My name is Mohini Dey, and you're watching my brand new talk show, What a Melophile Wants. Now, I believe music is such a powerful force, and I believe the more you love it, the more you love to give. It is an infinite feeling. Once Michael Jackson said, people ask me how I make music, and I tell them I just step into it. It's like stepping into a river and joining the flow. Every moment in the river
Yeah,
has its song. So true. Today, I
yeah.
have an extremely special artist with me on my show. He's a bassist, he's a composer, also known as the bass ninja. He has worked with artists like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Luke Fiasco, Kim Burrell, the Clark sisters, Stevie Wonder, and so many more. Please welcome the amazing Bobby Lewis.
It's crack.
I'm so
Uh,
happy to have you, Bobby.
I'm happy to be here. I appreciate you inviting me, Mohini. Been a
Uh,
while since we got a chance to hang out.
I know. I think the last time we met was like at Dam or something, no?
Yeah, maybe Nam show. Uh, wait, were you at Nam this year? You were at
Yeah,
this year. Yeah, I did see
yeah.
you at Nam for a little bit.
We
Yeah,
were like walking, we were walking towards the exit with my mom,
yeah, that's right.
trying to
That's
find
right.
the exit.
Yeah, trying to find it. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Well, it's my pleasure to have you on my show. And yeah, firstly, how are you?
I'm good. Just been taking it a day at a time, enjoying the benefits of the quarantine and all that kind of stuff, staying home with my family,
Right,
relaxing, making music here and there,
right. Amazing,
normal stuff.
amazing. Awesome, awesome. Now, like I mentioned at the start, music can mean so many different things to so many different people. For me, it's like an outburst of my emotion. It is an outburst of my soul, and it has such an incredible, powerful power to change and evoke our laughter, our emotions, our highest aspirations. Right? I want to ask you, what is music to you, and how did it enter your life? Give us a little insight on how your journey started
Oh
with music.
man. Music, I mean, music is everything to me. It's music is spiritual even to me. I grew up in church, so uh I grew up around music. My oldest brother and my older sister were musicians. I got a lot of cousins and stuff like that are musicians, and I've always loved music a lot, even before I started playing bass. I didn't start playing bass till I was maybe 15 years old,
Oh,
and yeah, so going on 20 years, almost 20 years now, and yeah, I mean, music is it's just a spiritual thing to me. Man, I don't know what I would be doing honestly right now in my life if I wasn't a musician, if I wasn't a bass player.
right.
I it's a lot of things that I love to do. That I'm a, like you said, a ninja and a nerd and stuff, but
Yeah, with your mask and with your
yeah,
fashion sense. Oh my
yeah.
God. How did that happen? I want to know that as well. I'm curious.
Oh, that came from just I love like Japan, as you know.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm all into the Japanese anime and like
Yeah, yeah,
all that
same.
kind of stuff. So that's where the whole wearing ninja shoes and stuff like that came from. But and music is everything to me, and like I've always felt a connection to it. And there
Mhm.
were there were a lot of things that I didn't understand as a kid about music, obviously, but I just knew that it was something that pulled me towards it, that
Right,
grabbed
right. But
me.
how did bass happen? Like out of
Oh,
any other instrument, how did bass happen?
well, I wanted to play drums first, so my sister was a drummer, so she
Oh,
was like
wow.
listen to Vinny and listen to Buddy Rich and Dave Weckel and this is that and so I started listening to Dave Weckel and the album Synergy. I was listening to that, and by the way, I'm a trash drummer. I suck at drums so bad.
I want to learn to play the drums so bad, but I can't.
I do too, but I can't do all the you know
The independence
yeah.
is so hard. It's so
It's
hard.
so dope though. I admire drummers so much, but
Oh god.
I was listening to that Synergy album that Dave Weckl put out, in the early 2000s, and the Synergy song, Tom Kennedy took a bass solo in the beginning of the,
Oh my God, I
and
love that.
oh my goodness. And I mean, I was just like, what is
Oh,
this? And I asked my brother, like my brother played bass guitar and organ and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yo, I want to do that. And so I was able to talk my parents into getting me a bass, and the rest is history. I fell in love with it. Fell in
when
love.
did you know that you want to take up music professionally? When did you know that, oh, you were becoming like a pro player? Like, how did you decide? When did you decide?
Well, where I come from, there was not really a music industry. Like I'm from Flint, Michigan. All the
Right.
music was in
I read,
Detroit.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so Detroit is like an hour. It was like an hour away, 45 minutes to an hour away. So, um, I kind of when I started playing, I had always seen myself like, yeah, man, I would love to, get on the big stage and this, is that, and the other. But it didn't happen for me until I moved to Los Angeles in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I came out here, like it seemed like it was something so far away that I wouldn't, you just don't know. You just sometimes you just try and you don't really know
Mm-hmm.
what'll come out of it. And
So you just kept flowing with it.
yeah, I mean, I just kind of just kept practicing and stuff like that. And I met some really amazing people like Andrew Goucher. I met him at my first NAM show, and he's like the godfather of gospel bass. And
Mm-hmm.
one day he just randomly called me, and long story short, he was like, "Are you playing for anybody?" And I told him no. And long story short, he called me back 45 minutes later, and he said, "I got you on Snoop's gig." And
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
that's how it happened. That was gonna be my next question. Like, how did Snoop Dogg happen? You know?
literally, Andrew Goucher made a phone call, and I've been
Whoa.
living in LA for I've been living in LA for like a year and a half almost, and he asked me had I been playing with anybody, and I like no, I had no gigs, I wasn't doing nothing, I was just practicing and just trying to survive. I didn't have no money or nothing like that, and this dude made a
Right.
phone call, and a few months later, I was on a
You
private.
were in the US that time?
I was in
Hmm.
I was in California at that time. Yeah, so
How long ago was this?
this was in 2005. That's
2005. Oh, it's
that's
been a long time.
that's when I moved there, and then in 2006, December of 2006, I'll never forget it.
So you
That's
were not playing with anybody else. So
nope.
that was the first big thing that happened to you. Oh my
First-
God. Kicking
mm.
it off like a king.
I mean it. Like I still to this day, Mohini, when I
Oh God. Like imagine, I'm just like stepping into this industry and my first artist that I played with was Snoop Dogg.
and I still to this day I think about it. I'm just like wow. And I mean I toured with that guy for years, and my very first tour, we were on a private jet and all the stuff that I
Woo!
that I heard about. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I was just like, man, and I'm a
How was the
country boy.
experience? How
Uh,
how was the experience musically with him?
It was like it was really really dope. I mean, I studied funk and all this kind of stuff, and
He's a
you
funky person, right?
know,
Yeah.
I mean, he likes everything. Like there was me and him used to have like we used to compete to see who knew more music. So like one day I'd be like, all right, I bet you ain't got this Tower Power record. He'll be like, I bet you ain't got this Chick Corea album. And like this dude listened to everything.
Wow.
Everything from and like
That's so cool.
I remember introducing him to Alan Holdsworth and stuff, and
And
then
how
he
is he
was
as a person?
he's chill. I mean,
He's funny, I bet.
he's extremely funny, and considering what he does, he's a very relaxed person. The guy
Yeah.
the guy does a lot of
Crazy.
he has a good time. I'll just say that.
Awesome, awesome. Now, Bobby, you like have such a unique sound and this unique tone that you have, which is very unlike other people. And everybody has this journey to finding that, you know. How did you find your individuality? And who were your major influences?
Well, when I started playing bass, obviously Tom Kennedy was a big thing for me, but that evolved from Tom Kennedy to John Patitucci.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I really fell in love with Patitucci, and of course, like me growing up in church, Andrew Boucher and Fred Hammond and all this kind of stuff. But a buddy of mine told me one time, I had just got, let me see, no, I still had my very first 5 string bass, and like I sounded exactly like John Patitucci. Like everything I played sounded like.
Really?
And my boy Eddie Brown, crazy piano player, he told me like, man, in so many words, he was like, that's really cool, but you know, how do you actually sound? And I was still playing like Patitucci, and he said, man, that's great that you love Patitucci. He said, but you'll just be a weaker imitation of John Patitucci. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, wow. So I just, I don't know. One day I just started just studying everything, and back then that's when I started really listening to like classical Indian music, and like the uh like Carnatic stuff. I started listening to just everything, and that's how I really developed my sound. But a lot of my biggest heroes that I have are not even bass players; they're guitar players.
Oh,
Yeah, Alan Holdsworth and Frank and John McLaughlin,
yes.
Joe Pass, like they're guitar players, but I
Right.
fell in love with them.
Right.
It just changed everything for me, and they changed the way I hear music. I wanted to be able to solo over chord changes, and like I wanted to be able to play chords and stuff. So
Mhm.
I owe a
Yeah.
lot to those guys for
Right,
sure.
right. A lot of people like come up to me during my master classes and stuff, and they would ask me like, I'm having a hard time finding my sound. What would you tell those people? How to go about it?
What I would tell them honestly is the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that you can be your own person.
Hmm.
Most of the time as bass players, we love our heroes, but we want to model ourselves after, Jocko or Victor or Stanley Clark or whoever, and that's cool, and there's nothing wrong with
Yes.
that. But
Hmm.
the same way they are so unique themselves, you can be unique too, you know.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I would tell anybody just, you got to actually really take some time to figure out what do you have to say. Like if you were a singer, what would you sing? How would you sing?
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
And just take influences, but
yeah.
don't end up being a copycat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
don't have to be a copycat, and
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate that a lot of people feel like, well, I have to sound like Jocko in order to be considered a great bass
Right.
player. But no, you
Right.
don't.
You know.
Jocko is a legend, and he's, one of the greatest of all time. Same with Stanley
Yeah.
Clark and
He
Charles
will only be
Mingus.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, Stuart Ham. I mean, they're all legends, but they all have their own unique sound, and we can do
Yes.
that too, even though we're younger.
Absolutely. I believe like everybody already has their voice. They just don't
They
know it,
do.
you
They
know?
just don't know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. That's true. Very true.
Now we're in this like pandemic situation. We have all this time to ourselves, right? But
Oh
when
yeah.
we are touring, that routine is so different. So when you're touring, how was your practice schedule like then and now when you have all this time?
Oh man. Well, so before I had a child, before I had a kid, it was easy to practice as much
Mm,
as I wanted. I will say since the pandemic though, I have been able to pull out my bass a lot more. It's been more so recording and stuff, but
right.
for some reason I get like I'll be recording a song for somebody and it'll take me like 6 hours because I'll just be practicing over the song.
Right. Or
Like
just getting distracted by something nicer,
yeah,
right?
yeah, like somebody will send me a song and I'll come across a few chord changes in the song and I'll loop it for like 2 hours and share those, like
And then
stuff.
suddenly you realize like, oh shit, I have to finish this
Yeah.
chord.
Oh wait, I forgot. I gotta send it. I gotta send this off or something like that. But this
Yeah.
this this quarantine has been amazing. It's I get it. Everybody wants to kind of go back outside and do their stuff, but I mean this is prime opportunity to learn new stuff and just like
Spend time with family as well.
yeah, spend time with family and just get better at any and everything. I've gotten better at cooking and stuff like that.
Me too.
Yeah, like it's that's
Yeah,
good. It's a plus, you know.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you believe in destiny, or do you believe we choose our own path?
I actually believe in I believe in destiny, but I feel like it's somewhat connected. Like when in your heart you're really passionate about something, um I feel like it's connected because you sort of know that, and you believe that you're destined for it. Like when I started playing bass and I realized like how fast I was progressing. Like even at a young age, I was like, you know what? I think this is gonna turn into something. Like, and of
You
course you
knew.
don't, yeah, like you don't know for certain. You just have that feeling. But what I believe is when it's something that you can't let go of, then
Mm,
that means that you are destined. And then when you finally get there, it confirms like, yeah, you were destined to do this. Like this was your purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know at 14 when I heard Tom Kennedy that I was going to be this bass player. That I think about that almost every day, how I never would have imagined people all over the world would write me and say, "Man, Bubby, I'm a huge fan." Like I would have never thought of that, being from the country, a small little town and stuff like that. But I had this feeling when I was younger,
mm.
and I just it was
But
all.
you chose that, didn't you? You chose to feel a certain way.
It's like I accepted the feeling, like, because in life, when you have hopes and dreams, you may also battle with doubts, and thinking that maybe it's not possible, but for me, I feel like if something keeps pulling at you and you can't let it go, even when you deal with the hurt and the hardships and stuff like that, I feel like if it's pulling at you, then maybe you are destined. And then when you finally get there, it just confirms it, like, yeah, this is what you were meant to do.
Mm,
I had a hunch when I was younger, like, you're gonna do something extraordinary. And as the years went on, even when stuff got rough, it's just, I couldn't let go of it. So it's like
right.
perseverance too. But yeah, I believe in destiny and I believe in choosing to, but I feel like they're really connected though.
Interesting. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Hmm. In my earlier episodes, I've spoken about evolvement and development and like transformative individuality that happens over the years.
Mm.
But like I said earlier, everyone's journey is so different. I
Yeah.
want to know, how did you evolve as a person, and was it the same as growing up to be a musician, or were there two different paths that you had to go through to find that one which made you have this marriage between two?
I feel like honestly it was all growing together for me. Like one thing my parents taught me that you can be the greatest, musician, you could be the greatest cook or whatever, but no matter how good you are or how dope you are or whatever, there's nothing more important than your character and your personality,
Mm,
and how you treat people, and just how you how responsible are you going to be if you become
yeah.
famous and all this kind of stuff. And my dad and mom, they drilled that into me. They,
And it's so
like,
interesting, like that
yeah,
somehow it just shows through your music, you
I
know.
mean, that's what I want. Like, I'm a big comic book fan, and Spider-Man,
You know, Stu
Peter
Ham is
Parker.
too.
Oh,
I was in
that's my
yeah.
brother. That's my buddy. Like, I love Stu, man. I
Yeah,
love
he is a
Stu.
big fan of comic. Like he has a huge collection. Yeah.
Me too. That dude, me and that
Wow.
dude, we hit it off immediately years ago, and it was all over this comic book stuff. But like,
uh,
Ben Parker says something: with great power comes great responsibility.
yes.
And I feel like it's my job, it's our job. If we're reaching all these people all over the world, and they're inspired by what we do, then it's our job to continue to encourage them and stuff like that. It's just it's music and life. I wanted this thing to be completely who I am.
Mm,
So as I grow musically, I want to grow as a person, you know, and I feel like it's so important, like relationships and just being a good person that people can depend on and honesty and stuff like that. I feel like those things are so important, even more so than how dope I am. If I can play a million notes a second, like that's cool, but am I going to be a person that people feel happy around? That's what
Yeah.
matters most to me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or people can relate to. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, how much of your playing in your gigs, especially solos, is completely improvised over chops and patterns that you have, say, created before or worked on before? And if it's both, how do you keep that balance?
My method is actually a little unconventional, I think. My method is I create solos at the moment in real time.
Yeah.
I've never transcribed before.
Hmm.
And I don't think anything is wrong with transcribing at all. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
yeah. I
it
think
helps.
sometimes it's a matter of time as well. Some
Yeah,
people like doing that, and
yeah,
if you're, for example, if you're playing with a Japanese band, they would like it to be scripted, like
yes.
same
Oh,
every
they
night,
love
because they
that.
don't want to have bad nights and good nights.
Yes, they
You
they
know?
love they love, and even in hip hop, like in hip
Yeah,
hop industry, they kind of like everything to just sound just like the record, and
yeah, because they
uh,
don't want to give the audience any risk of having a bad night or a good night. Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
for me, I guess I've just been fortunate that the artists that I've worked with, they've all just kind of told me like just do whatever you want, and I'm like,
Yes, that's great. That's great. That's
yes, you know what I'm
awesome.
saying? Like,
That's awesome.
but
That's
the my way that I was taught by Eddie Brown, because this dude used to solo and just play licks and stuff, but every time you heard him play, it was just always something different. And he told me
right.
one simple thing. He said, if you just learn where every single note is and you use your imagination, you should be able to play whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like if you're doing like say 30 shows or 35
Yeah.
shows in like 2 months,
Hmm.
every night's gonna be the same and then at some point you're gonna get bored, right?
Oh.
But in some cases you have to because that's the job they want you to do,
Mm,
right? Yeah, there are so many of these kind of situations that
man.
are so yeah. Yeah, but it's again at the end of the day, you choose to do that, so you're
Hmm.
in it. If you don't
Hmm.
want to do it, you don't do it. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is true. Some of
But
the
then,
artists.
sometimes like some solos, like Steve was saying the other day in his interview, like some solos are just evergreen. You just
Yeah.
cannot mess with it because
Yeah.
people want to hear what's on the record. And if you
Absolutely.
change something, they'll just not like it.
Oh yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, especially like I learned that in playing with like punk rock bands and metal bands and stuff. Like, if there's a certain bass solo that was on the record that was 30 years ago, when you start the solo, it
Yeah.
better sound exactly like the one that you did or somewhat
Oh
close.
God.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
That's so.
hard though, no, to pick up like each note, every phrasing. Oh my God.
I've been so fortunate. Like all the artists that I play with, they just kind of let me be free, and I feel so
Awesome.
blessed
You're
because of that.
lucky.
I hate I hate when I have to play the exact same thing over and
Oh
over.
God.
I like I have to be able to do something, because music to me is like it's like colors, it's
Mm.
like colors, and I sometimes I just
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
all the time I want to see like
Yeah.
colors. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
True. 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 Now, I've heard your songs and like everybody they have heard. My listeners they have been like texting me and stuff and they've been asking me like what is the ultimate direction that you follow when you're writing your songs? Say like you have an idea and like you want to expand on that idea. How do you make that decision of which path to go, you know?
um, when I write songs, it literally I just say to myself, first things first is I tell myself, Bubby, you got to make this song for you first, like where you like it, like
Mm, mm, mm,
everything that you have in here. I know this is gonna sound like Disney, but everything that you have in your heart sounds like Disney.
mm.
Make that, and then that
Right.
way when people hear it, they hear who you actually are. You know what
Right.
I'm
Then they
saying?
will connect. Yeah.
Exactly. They connect to
Mm.
your personality, to your character, all of that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, for me,
But
that's the
like,
first initial thing.
have you been in like a situation where you're writing a song, like after several songs that you've already released, and you are going through that like pressure? Does that pressure get to you where you're thinking like, what, how people are gonna take this part? You know, I've made this part, I've created this part. It sounds great to me, but then I don't know how people are gonna take it. You know?
It happens every single song that I've ever written. I always think to myself, I wonder what people are gonna say. But like one thing I've learned is the more we think about the doubt, that will make us initially like say, no, I'm not gonna do it this way. So what I
Mm,
try and do is as soon as I start thinking, oh, I don't know if they'll really like this song or this chord change or this section of the song, I just say, you know what? It doesn't matter. Screw it. Just do it anyway.
let's do it.
Because you felt it, just do it, and
Right.
it's I've had some good remarks. Fortunately, of course you we're gonna have some people that kind of hate and troll it, but it's not for them.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
reality.
everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
for
gonna
anything and
anything.
everything.
Any and you're absolutely right. Any and everything.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Um. Let's see. We're towards the end of our interview now, and then we'll play like this rapid fire of like 5 questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what to ask. I think you've like pretty much answered everything. Oh, okay. This one's good. What is the biggest challenge you've faced so far in your career, like growing up?
Mm, man, Mohini, that's actually an amazing question. At the time when I was trying to get into the industry, the biggest challenge was me wanting to be myself. And at the time, there were a lot of people around me that tried to make me feel like I have to fake who I am in order to be accepted. Um,
Mm,
that was probably one of the hardest things, me being,
mm,
I'm a church boy, I'm a nerd. I watch Japanese anime and read comic books. I'm a complete square. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do nothing like that. And at the time, there was a lot of people around me that was like, well, you know, artists aren't going to like you, or producers, they're not going to like you unless you party, unless you do all this kind of stuff. And I was just like,
mm.
well, I don't really want to do that. That's not me. Like, I just want to play. I don't want to, you know
Right,
I don't want to do nothing, all the stuff. I don't want to dress like that. I like to wear kimonos and kurtas and stuff like that. Like, that's just me.
right, right.
And
Do you design your stuff?
my wife, she makes a lot of the stuff, and then other times if I'm just in that country, I'll get whatever the clothing is, especially Japan. Like, I got a
Right.
million kimonos and stuff like that. But
Ha 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 ha.
it's just
Awesome.
it was just that battle of me trying to be who I am. And you hit that fork in the road where you see a lot of other people around you pretend to be other, they want to be like other people just so that they can be accepted. And for me, I just was like, nah, like, I want to be who I am. And it took a while, but it pays off. If you just stay true to who you are, it will pay
Right.
off
If you're
eventually.
real, yeah, you're
Yes,
real. So
exactly.
it will come out. Yeah,
It'll come out.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, great answer. That's amazing.
Mhm.
Now this is the last question.
Mhm.
How did you hear of me? When was the first time you hear of me? You heard of me?
Let's see.
I mean,
Let's
I think it's so funny, but you know, like when I just told you about like we were walking towards
Yeah,
finding the exit, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
the time we met the first time. That was the
Hmm.
first time we met.
I know, it's
Yeah.
so weird. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I feel like the first time I've heard of you was, it probably was Facebook, like one of those crazy videos you had on
Oh, okay.
Facebook of blazing and ripping it up. It probably was one of those, and you were what, like 13 or something. I don't know
Yeah, I
how
think
young
so.
you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
young, and I was just like, dang, she's really dope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
This was
pretty
years ago though. I think it was on Facebook, but yeah,
right.
we didn't meet. we didn't meet till so many years later. It's so
We
crazy how
didn't
it happened.
talk, we didn't meet. We just happened to meet like out of nowhere. Damn.
Groove Gear or something like that. I can't remember when it was. Yeah, it was. It's just so wild how that happens. You just
No, I think you know what? I met you through someone. Like some friend was there and he introduced me to you and I didn't even know who you were until
yeah
you told me
yeah
you play the bass and then I checked you out and I was like,
yeah.
"Whoa, you play the bass? You play the bass. You real
it's
do."
it's just so crazy how things happen in today's time with social media and stuff like that. Like so,
Yeah,
it's so
like we were walking around with my mom and all and I'm like,
yeah.
"What?"
It's so wild.
And
It's
we
so
didn't even know each other, yeah.
never had really talked or nothing like that.
Yeah,
But
nothing.
I'm
Yeah.
glad though. I'm glad that we live in this age where you can meet people, that you
Yeah.
see. Man, social media has been it's been whack, but it's been really dope at the same time
Yes.
for that
If you
reason.
can make the best out of it, it's
Best,
great for you.
yes.
Yeah.
Take the
Yeah.
best out of it. It's awesome. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And you can misuse it too if you want to.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, of
Yeah.
course. You can make yourself look like a complete idiot, or you can,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
that's
Awesome.
true.
That was amazing. That was great. The interview was so dope, in your words. I'm going to start saying that now. Yeah. Okay. My first question of the rapid fire round to you is, what is something that annoys you the most?
Something that annoys me the most. Uh, I can't stand arrogance.
Mm,
Uh, um, I can't stand racism. I can't stand arrogance, and
yes.
yeah, that's just something I think of right off the top of my head right now.
Right, right. Same, same, same. Arrogance, stupidity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Describe yourself in 4 words. That should be easy.
Nerd, Jedi,
Kimono person,
yeah,
mask
kimonos,
person.
Japanese anime, and video game music. And
That's too
uh,
many.
yeah, Bollywood. Yeah.
Bollywood? You like Bollywood?
Oh my,
Wow.
are you kidding me? AR is like one of my biggest heroes.
Oh my God.
AR Ramen is
So
like
your parents are from Michigan? Like both are from Michigan?
my mom is from Arkansas. My dad was from Akron, Ohio. Um,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
but they lived in They married in California and all this kind of stuff. And then my
Did
dad
you ever by any chance have like an Indian descent?
on my father's side actually. It's
Yeah,
way distant. It's actually Punjabi, but
Punjabi.
yeah. So north, but like we don't speak it, and it's like way down the line. Like
I know, I know, I know. But
eh,
I get a touch of it on you, like
yeah,
from you. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's there, and that's the reason why I wanted to really kind of dive
I mean,
in.
although you have like afro hair and everything, like when the first time I saw you, I
Yeah,
mean, even myself, like I had afro hair when I met
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
but like I could sense like there is something Indian about him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in there. It's like you know
Yeah, just a
that
little bit. Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. That's
I
so
definitely
cool.
love my Bhangra and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, tell us something personal that the whole world don't know about you.
The whole world doesn't know. I was almost 400 pounds.
I,
Um,
I think people know that.
they know that. Some people be like,
Yeah.
I never would have been able to notice. Uh, what's something personal then?
But like, what a transformation! Like, I should give you an applause for that. Like, amazing.
I still eat a lot though, but thank you.
But you don't look like.
I still eat plenty.
You need to give me some lessons on how to
Oh
lose
yeah,
some
right.
weight, please.
You're so tiny. You look like you run track. Are you serious?
No, no, I need to lose belly fat.
Mohini, you don't have to do nothing. What we'll do is next time we go back to Japan, we'll go
To
eat.
Coco and
Yeah,
Chipanya.
we'll go to Kokoichi and get some what's that stuff, the croquette,
The
whatever the fried stuff. Oh, it's so good. Just thinking about it right now.
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, the
The katsu
spicy
stuff.
the spicy curry.
Yeah, spicy curry with the katsu. Oh my goodness. Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness. I miss that
God.
junk.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I miss that. Yeah.
If you could switch to any other instrument, what would it be?
Clarinet.
Clarinet.
Hmm.
Have you ever played a clarinet?
I tried and I'm trash, but I love the tone of it. I love the tone of the clarinet. I love it. Absolutely. Or like the
Awesome.
French horn or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this one is the last one. What is the worst compliment you've received so far?
Uh, you shouldn't play things that people don't understand.
That's what you got?
Somebody told me that years ago. They were like, maybe you should slow down a little and you shouldn't play things that people don't understand because you're really good, but you shouldn't play things that people don't understand. And I was like, that's a
Yeah.
horrible insult. Like, what kind of, like, what is, what does it matter? Like, just let me do what I
Yeah.
do.
I think it's bad. Like after all the heavy lifting you just did on stage, and you hear that, I'm like, yeah, what?
Yeah, like that was really cool, but you shouldn't play stuff that people don't understand. I'm like, well, you didn't understand it. Like,
Then you shouldn't have come to the show.
yeah, like speak for yourself. What are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was incredible. Thank you so much for coming on my show. And I hope to play with you soon
Yes.
and see you very soon.
Yes, yes. Are you planning on coming back to the States at any time once everything clears up?
Now, yeah, once everything clears up, I would love to, but then the way, like, everything's being handled by the big people at the
Yeah.
moment, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna take names, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah. I know
hard,
what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gonna be really hard for foreigners to get in and out, I'm very sure.
Yeah. They said it's gonna be hard for us to go anywhere too. In
This
those
year seems like a no-no.
2020, man. I never would
Yeah,
have imagined.
it's been crazy with the cyclone, the
Yeah.
hurricane, the fire. I don't know what and all is going on. Like it's just
Yeah.
been too much and going on forever now.
It has
It
to
feels
be.
like forever. Yeah.
Like after this, I feel like we're gonna have some of the best days. Like it has to be because rain doesn't last forever. The bad times don't last forever, but the magnitude of craziness that's happened this year, I think
Absolutely.
I think it's gonna be like awesome after all of this.
That's how I like to think as well. And
Yeah,
I'm keeping hope and I hope to
yeah,
see some light. That's what's keeping me
yeah.
like the way I am now.
Oh
Otherwise, it's just so hard to keep yourself motivated in these
yeah,
times.
it
It's just
is. It
really
is.
hard. But fortunately, where I live, like in Bangalore, at the moment I live in Bangalore and everything's opened up here. So people
Awesome.
can go out, malls have opened up, clubs
Wow.
are starting to open up now.
Wow.
So it's cool. Yeah, no. In
Y'all
this
are
city, it's
way
fine.
ahead of us. Y'all are so ahead of us. Like they're
Yeah.
trying to open stuff back up, but like last week we got like 40 some thousand new coronavirus cases or something like that. So everything seems to
I
be good.
pray the whole world gets better.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
And it will. It will. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.